Yes, Pebble Beach is a very important event for Bugatti because on that special week we have both. We have historic car lovers and we have super sports cars and luxury car lovers coming to this place in the summer. So August is a very good period of time because it's in the middle of the year, and we have on the other side we have Geneva as the starting point of the year. Then we have a lot of our customers which are joining, and then for us it's special because the United States is our biggest single market, and it's also an opportunity to sell cars. Due to the fact that there are a lot of vintage or historical car lovers, it's clear also that for us as a Bugatti brand, which is celebrating the 110th anniversary, there is a strong, or there should be a strong relationship between the owners of historical cars and new cars. So yes, we want to attract them also for our new lineup. Yes, we said at the beginning of the year 2018 that we want to have at least 2 new launches each and every year. One should be in Geneva and the other one should be in the middle of the year. So we think Pebble Beach is the best place to go. And this year we had La Voiture Noire, so which is, let's say, covering the era of Ettore and his Saint-Jean and the relationship between La Voiture Noire and the Atlantique. And we have 3 eras mainly. So the first one, Ettore, the third one, which is the one of today from 98 till today, and it's ongoing. And the second one, which is the shortest, the time in Campogalliano, where the EB 110 was born. And so we think that this is a perfect bridge with this car to remember Campogalliano and the era here in Italy. So this car is an incredible car. We are only going to build it 10 times. All the cars are sold for a price of 8 million euro net. It's an outstanding car because it has an 8-liter capacity engine, 16 cylinders, and 1,600 horsepower. And it has an incredible power-to-weight ratio of just 1.1. Well, this year we are celebrating our 110th anniversary, so it's a good moment in time to look back and to see what the history has given us. And yes, we are a French brand, but the founder was an Italian-born man in Milan. He became French during his life, and I think it's important to embrace all the chapters of the history of Bugatti, and therefore also the short history here in Campogalliano with the Centodieci has a special place in the history of Bugatti.
The project Centodieci is an homage to the Bugatti EB 110, the sports car that was produced here in Campogalliano in the early 1990s. It was the very first attempt to bring back the glorious mark after it became so quiet around the brand in the early 1950s. Stilistically, the project Centodieci draws its character certainly from inspiration of the EB 110, classic Italian sports car stance, low front nose, small horseshoe grille, and also performance rear end. All these you find reflected in a modern interpretation on the Centodieci. When a designer works on a homage project, meaning looking back towards a classic car and the inspiration of the vintage automobile that we're quoting, in this case the EB 110, it is also dangerous not to get stuck in the past, not to be blocked into a retro kind of vision, but finding a new interpretation for this new project and quoting certain elements so it has a reminiscence. But the form language and the technical details and the performance aspect of the car need to be leading the new concept and need to be translated into the future. We've chosen the celebration of 110 years Bugatti with 2 homage projects. The first one was La Voiture Noire for Geneva 2019. The second one is Centodieci for Pebble Beach this year. How are the 2 projects different? One clearly relates to elegant grand touring, also in proportion and stance, and the other one relates to the classic appearance of a super sports car in its time. To be here in Campogalliano, it's actually quite inspirational, as I see an architect really being at work, being given a white sheet of paper and creating an automotive operation here that was very purposefully built and in its architecture completely related to the utmost best creation that a supercar could have. Even more remarkable is that Mr. Benedini, as an architect, had a very strong influence on the creation of the automobile, the EB110. This is rarely seen in our industry. That's something that I respect a lot, and actually created influences in the translation of our homage project to the project Centodieci.
The world premiere we are showing here today is the Bugatti Centodieci. There's the inspiration to the Italian era of our history in Campogalliano, where there was the EB110. Centodieci is Italian and means 110. So this is the first reference. The second one is that this year we are celebrating our 110th anniversary, so also Centodieci fits to this. These are the two things we put together. This car is going to be built 10 times, 8 million euro net, and they're already all sold. You know, the 110th anniversary is today. It's a good opportunity, a good moment to also to look back in history. We did it with La Voiture Noire, with the golden era of Ettore Bugatti in the 20s and 30s, with the Atlantique, which was the car we had the reference for, and now we're doing the same with this intermezzo of Campogalliano, so the 10 years in Italy. And it's clear that we are a French company, but it's also clear that part of your history was done by Italians in Italy, and you have to refer to it. But we are a French company with our headquarters in Molsheim in France. We never speak about the future for sure, but it's clear that you cannot continue like this forever. So you have to have a clear idea, and I think the 110th anniversary was a good moment to bring two cars which are reflecting your history, and you can talk about the history by presenting two cars, La Voiture Noire and Centodieci. Let's see what is coming next year.
So you see, for me as a chief designer Bugatti, my main job when we do an homage project is not to get stuck in a retro direction, but making translations that find a win-win situation with technical development that is challenging on a package of a Chiron, translating it and still creating a reminiscence that looks modern in terms of the car that we're quoting. I think the inspiration leads back to three items, I would say. One is obviously the car, the EB110 SS at the time. The other one is Romano Artioli, who has really revived the brand Bugatti since the 1960s to come back in 1988. And thirdly, and as a designer I have to say, I very much admire the work of the designer of the car, EB110. If we start at the rear of the car, you see a very direct translation in a modern interpretation. If you look at the rear end of EB110, it's a very graphical look, no? These pill shapes, very geometric. We translated that onto this car, but not literally. We inverted that whole theme, and the whole area in the back there is like a breathing chimney for the engine compartment. When you look towards the front of the car, yes, you see a reminiscence to the EB110 by a smaller horseshoe. Not as small as it is on the original car and quite a bit more three-dimensional, but not as big as on the Chiron either. And you see that the Macaron logo is sitting outside of the horseshoe, more on top. You see a much more slanted nose, which benefits for aerodynamic development in the end. And you also see an evolution from the EB110 headlights that were state-of-the-art at the time, but now we have much more modern technology with less space for the headlights, that creates a much more modern look and a modern translation as an homage project starting from the EB110 facial graphic.